Hello everyone, this is Lisa with Grace and Old Paper, and I come to you today with, finally, a flip through on my horse journal. I have finally completed it. Yay! And I am so beyond thrilled with this junk journal. I think this is the best thing I've ever made. I haven't made a whole lot, but I think it's the best thing I've ever made. I tried really, really hard to make it worthy of being sold on Etsy. I'm not going to sell it, but I wanted it of that caliber. I wanted it to emulate my crafty idols, which are Miss Catherine at Sunnyside Journals and Miss Nancy at Wishes and Weeds. I know I can't get to their caliber because they are so talented. Wow, such artists. But I wanted to get as close as I could because this is, and I can now tell you this is a gift. And you will not be seeing this video until she receives the book in her hands. And I know she's gotten it, just in case she sees my videos. So this is actually, I made this for no particular reason other than the fact that horse stuff kept coming to me at thrift stores. So, you know, it started out with this fabric I used, and my brain immediately went, oh, that would be pretty in a horse journal. I had no plans of making a horse journal at the time, but, you know, hell, here it is. And then I started finding horse magazines and horse books and with beautiful images in it. And so then it clicked in my head finally. I was like, oh, I'll make a horse journal for my friend Lisa. Yeah, she has the same name I do. We're both Lisas. And we're sort of related. She is my son-in-law's mother. A very sweet lady. Very sweet lady. Into a lot of the same things I am. I'm not into horses, but she has owned horses in the past and has loved her horses dearly. And she's into the vintage things and the family heritage and, you know, all those interesting tidbits about history. So we have that in common, as well as having my daughter and her son in common, and our grandchild, Garrett, our little 3-year-old baby boy. He's such a jewel, such a charmer. But anyway, I decided since God kept giving me all this horse stuff that I'd make her a horse journal. So here it is. It is a big book, and I did it that way on purpose. It is it has a 3-inch hidden hollow back curved spine that I made. You can see here the floating spine. It has 7 signatures that I spaced a little bit further apart than I normally would have because I wanted room for her to add things and for me to put what I wanted in here. It is 7 inches by 9.5, and it has 336 pages. So it is a big book on purpose. But I just love it. And those of you that have been watching my channel know that I made this cover, the front and back cover, out of an old writing journal that was very thin. It was a very thin journal. So I just tore it apart and made the new spine for it to make it a big book. But I used it because of the leathery texture and the embossing that hopefully you can see there. I loved that. So I have made a removable tassel for it. And this is my first ever tassel. So I love it. I love it. I will have to make more of these. But it has everything from vintage laces to some, and a lot of these were gifted to me in Happy Mail, to some rawhide, to garden twine that we used to tie up our strawberries. But I loved it in here. Ribbons. What else have I got in here? Pieces of jewelry that I took apart. The only thing I have purchased for this are these horse charms, and they were actually wine charms, and I just took them apart and made them into charms for this journal. I have the horse here. I have a horse trailer, and then in the book there are several more. There's other jewelry pieces in here. This is actually a couple of different things linked together, but I loved it. Little vintage cross in here. Gosh, I just have so many. I have beads from different jewelry, pieces of jewelry, broken jewelry or jewelry I found at the thrift store and took apart. Whatever this stuff is, this coming unraveled, but that's okay. It can come unraveled. She is also my special mom, because in my eyes, because she's a military mom. Excuse me. She's a military mom of two. Both her son and her daughter went into the military. They actually both went into the Air Force. So my son-in-law is actually retired from the military now, and he just does contract work for them. So I love this. But like I said, it's removable, so she can take it out and use the journal. Excuse me, I got a little frog in my throat this morning. I did do a ribbon closure. This was rescued from the Goodwill bins. It was on a little girl's skirt, and I just carefully picked it all off. Really great piece of ribbon. So most everything in here is from thrift stores. There are a few bought things, but not very much. So, ribbon closure. The front is made from a piece of children's book, tea-dyed paper doily, and a magazine piece. And then some crocheted lace, a piece of trim, and the fabric. The inside covers are from a reprint of the 1902 Sears catalog. I have two of them, and this one had more yellowed pages, which I thought looked really great with the papers and stuff I chose. So the front and the back are Sears catalogs. And I chose not to do a pocket or any tags or anything on here because I know, like me, she will enjoy reading every bit of this and looking at all the prices and everything. I mean, look, $11.90 for that fancy saddle. Like I said, it does have 7 signatures. The outside covers, I guess you would say, of the signatures are from scrapbook paper. So this was I bought at the store. I will get past this in a minute. But none of them were long enough for this book, since this was 9.5 inches across. It just wasn't long enough when I folded it. So I elected to extend all the scrapbook pages with music page. So they're all sewn on there, and made a little scalloped edge and just sewed them on there to extend the pages. But I'm good with that. I love the way it looks. The cover has a piece from the children's book, and I just liked all the horse names. I didn't want to use the page numbers. This is a little snippet of a piece of fabric from Walmart. I love that horse. The way he's just staring you down right there. The front covers of all the signatures have a tag with vintage fabric and vintage button, and all the buttons are different. So on the first page here, I have a tea-dyed envelope that is actually got journaling space on the inside. There's a piece of vintage writing paper. It's been tea-dyed as well, I think. I can't remember. But it's also a pocket that I put a tag in. The second page of all the signatures are from the same book. I believe it was called Album of Horses. It was a kind of children's book about horses. And I believe I got it on clearance for $1. But I loved all the artwork in it. Just loved it. The fabric ruffle, there's 3 fabric ruffles in here, and it's all from the same source. It was a very vintage, extremely delicate pillowcase. And I've used part of it in another part of the journal as well. And the fabric ruffles have the charm on them. This one's a saddle. I used this fussy cut here that came out of a children's book, and all it had was half of the horses. So I had them peeking out of the page here, looking at some Tim Holtz flowers. There's lots of journaling papers in here, and some of them are kind of businessy related because she is a businesswoman as well. Very, very talented, successful businesswoman. So I put a little ode to that in here with some of the papers. There are some books, pages from, this is a complete guide and care of a horse or something like that. I can't remember. I probably have it in here somewhere, but I'll see. So anyway, I just included some of those horse pages in here. This is a page from Little House in the Big Woods. I liked it because it had the horses and it's talked about horsepower. And it is a flip out. This is a little nod to both of us being Lisa. And I just left it for journaling space. And it is a pocket as well. This came from the find I got at a thrift store recently. From a typing packet I had, and I thought she would enjoy that as well. Just very vintage. And she has a piece of property that she lives on that has a pond, and she loves looking at all her, the nature around her and the animals and stuff. And so I thought I'd include this little bird card in there. And they just slip right in there. Pardon me. This is a Rolodex card, a vintage Rolodex card that I collaged with this fussy cut owl. I know she has some owls on her property and loves them, so a little piece of lace hanging down. This is a tag I made, came from a Reader's Digest book called The Saddle Maker's Wife. It just slips right in there. And this is an envelope as well. This lady right here is a fussy cut from a 1909 McCall's magazine that I scored at a junk shop one time for $2. And in it, I just tucked this little journaling card. It's a pre-made one, but I love the florals on it. It's so pretty. So, so pretty. And I put a vintage index card on the back for journaling. Just slips in there. More journaling space. This is a paper doily printable from Johanna's shop, Little Bendy, and I just kind of grunged it up. Glued on a flower from the Dollar Tree and a vintage button in the center, because what they had there in the center would not glue with anything I tried, not even super glue. But I had this little vintage button and I just glued it down. In it I tucked just a pretty little piece of paper and a free printable from my Facebook group that I have tucked in a little card with this pretty horse. And there's journaling space on the back. Joined this with ribbon that I sewed on. Piece of horse-related music, which was hard for me to find in my selection. This is a page from the original journal. You can see I have leafed through this many times. This is a page from the original journal. This is what the original papers look like. They were this yellowed color. I like it. And this is just a piece of stenciling I did up here. The center of all the signatures are a 2-page spread, and I have put a little vintage onion skin in front of them, just so you can kind of see that there's a horse image coming up. But the center spread has a black and white image on the front and the back, and in the center is a color 2-page spread. And I just love the vintage style artwork, and then all of the information is really cool too. She used to own a quarter horse that was really special to her, and I know you can see through this right here, but I wanted it to be this. These two children representing her son and her daughter sitting in a field of flowers looking at the quarter horse. I just loved it. And I'm so sad I have run out of this. I got it in Happy Mail, and I'm so sad I run out. I loved it. Like I said, lots of journaling space. This is a vintage hanky that I made into a pocket. And in here I have a journaling card that I made while watching Roxy Creations by Rachel. It was her weekly challenge number 25. This is kind of my own spin on that. It was a journaling card you made with book page and then a napkin over it, some collaging, and then instead of, she had more flowers or something over here, but I just used this little cutout from the 1909 McCall's magazine. This little girl. I just thought she was cute. On the back is just some scrapbook paper my daughter made for me and some onion skin for journaling. Also in this pocket is this little pamphlet that I found in my mother-in-law's items after she passed away. I've had it. It was in her recipe collection. She had lots of like cutouts of recipes and stuff. I found this in here, and I thought it was really cool because it has the rope letters, and then the month and the year are my birthday, month, and year. So I thought that was pretty cool. But this is just full of little stories and poems and jokes and all kinds of things that I know she will love reading through. More journaling papers. I'm going to try to flip through those pretty quick because I'm going to have a long video here. This is just a little tag I tucked in here, a little card. It was a Pictionary card that I chose because it has a horse on there. And this is a little lady from the Sears catalog and a piece of fabric butterfly that I have that I tea dyed. I actually got that fabric from Walmart. It has like tons of butterflies on it. A little sticker from Dollar Tree, which I just love that little sticker. This is from the 1975 Reader's Digest Almanac, and her family is from West Virginia, so I thought she'd enjoy reading that. And her birthday is in June. This is from a very vintage little magazine I had about June birthdays. So I thought she'd enjoy reading that. Second signature, that's its vintage button. This is tea-dyed and grunged up steno paper. This has crocheted lace. I joined these pages with music paper instead of washi tape. This is from, of course, an address book, and her last name begins with I, so I just made that little flip out. It is tea-dyed. This is a paper clip that I rusted, and it has a little piece of lace, and it is holding on a CD envelope that I grunged up, and it's just holding this little image from Black Beauty in there, and it's just a journaling card. This is a pre-made pre-made envelope, and I believe I showed this on one of my Craft With Me videos, but it just opens up and it has a little free printable again from my Facebook group. It's just a little miniature postcard, and it just tucks right in there. This piece of music is vintage Christian music. Like this one is from 1922 by Salvation Army, and I know she'd enjoy that, so looking through those. A Spanish horse, Mustangs, and a Bronco. Back side of this one has a little pocket I had with a horse card on there that I was gifted in Happy Mail, and I just put a little journaling space on the back. If you hear noise back in there, my grandson's in there, and there's a lot of stuff going on in there. This page came from a book that I had about life back in the Old West days and pioneers and stuff like that. This is a meeting agenda page that I tea-dyed and grunged up and just made it into a flip out. Made this little card that I attached with a aged paper clip and a little piece of jewelry, and it is an ad from the Sears catalog, and I have just collaged a bit of paper doily on there, a little bit of lace, and a Tim Holtz flower, and it is holding shut this little flip out that has a little article on the back about the Pony Express riders, or the Pony Express, something like that. And it just clips right on there. Third signature, and that's vintage button. This is tea-dyed paper, and I just did that. Stenciled, thank you. Another piece of crocheted lace. On the back here, I have a belly band, very soft fabric. I am unsure if this is vintage or not. I found this at a thrift store. It is just soft as butter. And I just love it. It looks vintage to me. Feels vintage, but who knows. But I made a belly band out of it. Backed it with some file folder to give it some sturdiness because this fabric was so soft it wasn't holding anything. I have this little lady and her horse on there, a little vintage card that I made one of my lace rosettes on there with a vintage button. This is just a little article that was in one of the books, Famous Thoroughbreds, and I figured she'd like reading that. On the back, instead of journaling space, I put an envelope, a tea-dyed envelope, and it has just got some little goodies in it for her to enjoy. There's a little image. She is, I believe she's a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution, and so she loves family history, and she loves history, all those things. And I believe this is an image from a drawing from Civil War days. Not sure, but it was just in a book I had, and I loved it. They're all getting their horseshoes put on. This is from the front of the Sears catalog. Apparently they needed to let everyone know they were a good company, so they had references in the front. And I just kind of thought that was hilarious. This is from a magazine, and it's just a one-page story about a Christmas pony. I enjoyed it, and I figured she would too. So they all just tuck right inside and go back in the belly band, and I will put that back in just a bit. Pre-made little sack pocket that I collaged with music and another horse playing card that was gifted to me. Put a little crocheted lace hanging out the bottom. Hoping you can see that. Yeah, hanging out the bottom. A little piece of crocheted lace there. A little circular area. This in here is a little tag. It's a pre-made tag, but I put this little piece of embellishment on here to give it a little tag to pull it out of the sack. And I like the way it looks poking up there. And it's a pocket in the back, and it has an article about the pony, Riders of the Pony Express. This is a piece of junk mail I received, a junk mail envelope, and I have collaged on here bits with the Sears catalog and some dictionary stuff, and made it into a double pocket. And the image is from Black Beauty. And I put another piece of that really old magazine I had. I'm not sure what kind of magazine it was. It was just a little thing I found at the consignment store. But it's just a little funny, you can tell your age, tell somebody's age by using that chart. And it works. I tried it. In the side of it, I tucked another one-page magazine story about the horse that took them to school. And it just tucks right in the side here. On this one there is a While You're Out, and on the back side of it is another piece of my the paper my daughter made for me for my own use. And then underneath it is let me make sure I got this centered back again. Underneath it is a fussy cut I did of this pretty little bird. I just thought she was gorgeous. There's a harness horse. I just love this image right here, and I just thought it was really pretty with the barn in the background, the fields and the wildflowers. And I put it on this envelope flip out, and then I have this embossed card up underneath that flips out as well for journaling space. And it is a pocket, little image of Black Beauty, and just an image of a horse I liked. I thought he was really pretty. And I've stitched this envelope on. Inside the envelope are just a pretty piece of paper for her to journal on, and out of my bird book, the barn owl and the screech owl. I know she'll probably be like me, and she'll read every bit of the little things in here just because they're interesting. Lots of journaling space. This is a paper clip, another one of my grunged up paper clips, a little piece of that vintage fabric. I made this collage Rolodex card, a smaller one, and it has like the barn dance, and this little story had horses in it, and that's a piece from the dictionary. This little paper doily under here is from the Little Bendy shop again. I loved that one. And on the back I just fussy cut that little flower and put it on there. And it is creating a tuck spot up here that is holding on this little piece. She gets into political discussions and stuff, so I thought she'd appreciate this little political cartoon. It's a very vintage one. I'm not even sure what year it was from, but I thought she'd enjoy it. If she doesn't like it, she can throw it away. This is the only signature that has color to it. Some really color other than browns, but I loved the look of this. It looks like the side of an old farmhouse that's the paint's peeling, an old barn or something. I just loved it. And there's its vintage button. This is sewing pattern tissue. You can see by the lines right here that was a happy accident, and I decided to leave it. I thought it was good. This signature has a horse stirrup on it. And you can see where my sewing machine protested sewing through this sometimes, but I like the look of it. I like that it's not perfect. For some reason, that just, it appeals to me in this journal. I got this pocket idea from Miss Nancy at Wishes and Weeds. I tried to find the video and I can't find the video. I'd have to go back and watch all her videos to find it again, so I can't remember. Excuse me, I had to have a sip of coffee. I can't remember which one it was. So it is a envelope flip out that she made a pocket. We made a pocket on the front, which I loved, and I just put this little photo and snippet that I found in a magazine on there, and it's just got journaling space on the back, and it just slips right in there. I collaged on the front, little Tim Holtz flower and a little bird I fussy cut, piece of lace hanging down off the bottom, and that is a stamp that was gifted to me in Happy Mail from Zurich. And inside of it, I have another one of those Sears reference letters tucked in there for her to read. Another one of these pages, the Complete Guide to Horse Care. I think that's what it was called. That's what it was. On the back, where the envelope flap came up, I made it a tuck spot right here. And there's a bird playing card that was again gifted to me in Happy Mail. And I stapled on another Pictionary Junior card. And it's everything to do with horses. Horses, saddle, stirrup, branding iron, lasso, cowboy. But when I stapled them together, it kind of made like a little paperclip type thing. And it just sits right in there. This little tuck spot, I saw Miss Nancy do on Wishes and Weeds. Yeah, I watch her and Miss Catherine at Sunnyside Journals all the time. But she had done this, and she got the idea, I believe, from Gail Augustinelli. I've watched Gail a lot too. So I decided, I watched both of their videos, and I made my own. And it just tucks in this little, it's another free printable from my Facebook group. It's a little piece of scripture on this card that is so pretty. Just slips right in there, and this, I have no idea where I got this, but it looks cute in here, so probably Happy Meal. Another piece of horsey type music. This signature, this center signature, is the only one that's slightly different. There were 7 spreads in that book that I could use for the 7 signatures, but one of them I didn't want to use. It was a circus clown, and a circus horse, and it had a creepy looking clown riding it. And on the other side, the bottom image had a man with a really long whip training the horse, and I didn't like that, so I elected to cover that up. The front and back still have black and white images, but this front one is a little thicker. It's more like cardstock because I covered up the clown, the creepy clown, and I had to use a dark paper, so I used this in paper from a children's book. But I love the artwork on this. Just love it. It's just a peaceful scene to me. So yes, it is a little thicker and a little different, but I'm okay. And then this was from the original book. I made this pocket myself. I mean, this little sack pocket myself. It is, if you want to make one of the good paper sacks, I used the Reynolds unbleached parchment paper, and it works really great. The color's good, the feel is good, it's crinkly, love it. Just collaged on the front, a little bit from Little House, and then the fabric, the same fabric that I used to make the ruffles, and I just stamped on it. This is another free printable from my Facebook group. You know, y'all don't discount those free printables from your Facebook group, but only if you're making the journal for yourself or for a friend, not for sale. I would not do that without their permission, because they just put them on there to share personally. But it's a writing habit little advertisement, and I loved it. I'm sorry this video is going to be so long, but it's a big journal. It's a big journal. There's a lot in this journal. This is a fussy cut I did. Very intricate. Took me a while, but I loved it. I loved it. And then I made this little circle tuck, oval, excuse me. And I just put one of these little jar cards in here. I did tea diet, but I didn't put anything on it. I figured she can do that. This next signature, and it's vintage button. This one is the one where I had a happy accident. When I sewed the little tab on, it's my fault. It wasn't stitching on it or anything like that. When I went to pull it out of the sewing machine, I grabbed it in the completely wrong place. And this is vintage paper, and the way I grabbed it, it tore it. And you probably could hear me scream on the other side of the house, but then I remembered the vintage cellophane tape I had pulled off with some things from the thrift store, and I just glued that on there, and I love the way it looks. This one, if you've been watching my videos, you've seen that this little brown spot right here is threads holding on what I consider a lock for something. This is I call it a flippy flappy thing. I don't know what she called it, but this I learned from Angela Kerr, watching her videos, the video Exciting Envelopes 7, and she had made one of these. Well, when I put it on this left page, which was a mistake, I should have put it on this page, and you go to open the page, that happens, and that really irritated me. So I made what I consider a pocket watch lock. I had this little piece of chain with this pretty little rose on it, and I just attached a vintage safety pin on there, and it just slips right in there and locks this whole thing shut. But it flips out and has journaling space. Also, these two are vintage music about riding or horses or whatever, and then these two are from Black Beauty. But I loved the little horse peeking out. I just thought it all turned out really cool. I did some little fussy cuts I put on there. There are some tags. This is just a pre-made tag I had. I have no idea where I got it from. This one came from a magazine I had. It's just a little children's little graduation certificate. And then in this one is another little photo article about this little girl and her Shetland pony and her little western outfit. She's so cute. And then up here I put an ad from that McCall's magazine. This is for Macy's for a sweater coat for $2.96. I figured she'd enjoy that. So that's that. Another free printable from my Facebook group. It's a little coin envelope, and I just made a tag to put in it. The back is brown paper from a takeout restaurant. We have a lot of those. You know, the big brown bags with the handles you get. I think ours is either probably from Olive Garden or Longhorn Steakhouse. I guess it could be Old Charlie's. But those are the restaurants we frequent the most. But hey, they got good paper. Good paper to use on those. Love the saddle. I thought it was a really pretty saddle. Love the fire horse. It's a fussy cut I did, and I just paired it with a Tim Holtz flower. On the back side of this saddle picture is the other piece of the vintage fabric, the pillowcase. Very, very soft, beautiful. I just love the image. Since it's so delicate and soft, I backed it with some cardstock and I sewed it on the paper. And inside it, I just tucked another one of these kind of, I don't know if it was Civil War or Revolutionary War. Either way, it's just a little image. And I put it on some collaged card and more of that brown paper on the back. And then this other thing is just because. Because I liked it and I thought it was funny. And I just collaged on the back. That came from a book I found recently, a book on puns. It was very punny. This was gifted to me by a friend. She found it at a yard sale or thrift store or something, and it has glittery grass. I loved it. I have made it into a double pocket. Has another one of these little vintage images. This pretty little card I found at my thrift store that's already been aged. by itself, naturally aged. I love that. And then this, I thought she would enjoy this little whole page thing from the Sears catalog about the buggies. It's just so much fun to read all this stuff, the way they worded things back then. And those all just slipped right in there. And then on the side, put this little green tab here, and you pull it. And it's just an old library card back in 1968, How Green Was My Valley. And I thought that was kind of appropriate. Sixth signature, it's vintage button. I put a tea-dyed doily on the back and a tag. The book I got this from had a bunch of these. They were all tag shaped, so it kind of demanded that I make a tag out of it, and I did. More crochet lace. A little magazine image of these horses, and I made it into a tuck spot. And I just put one of these pre-made butterfly cards. And I made this collage card from a bunch of scrapbook papers and little fussy cuts and stuff. And it's just got journaling space on the back. This spread was like this in the book. It doesn't have a continuing artwork like some of the other ones. It was like this, and I just left it this way. Besides, it's pretty. I saw Miss Nancy at Wishes and Weeds do this, and I'm sure she got it from somebody else. I know I've seen it somewhere else before, but it is just a journaling flip down. And I made the top a pocket. I can get this back in here. And I just put this little pre-made card and one of my little flower rosettes with the vintage button. Another pretty horse made it into a tuck spot with one of those things that demanded to be a tag. And I just collaged on the back. This is a piece of scrapbook paper, actually, that I tea dyed, but I love it because of all the pretty florals on there. This is a piece of embossed paper that was gifted to me in Happy Mail, and I tea dyed it, grunched it up, and then used some of my inks lightly on there to kind of highlight the embossed area, and I just made it into a flip out. I kind of put this together as a little kind of vignette. It's from a children's book, and then this is from a magazine. Last signature, and it's vintage button. You can see that. It's a little metal button. This is a special signature because this has artwork by my grandson and her grandson, the one we share. First of all, I loved this little image from a children's book, and I kind of have him looking at the horsey here. Has a altered paper clip I made from a faux library card. Has two tags. This one came from some book, but I just love the image on there. Put it on some file folder. And this is a vintage children's flashcard. And I just put some of the agenda paper on the back for journaling. And this little thing right here I got from Miss Pam at the Paper Outpost. I saw her make a file folder flip downs one day, and I liked it. I loved it. And so right in here, I stamped on Collage Artwork by Garrett, 2021. Garrett is my grandson's name. This is from that same little children's book, but I loved because it had the horseshoes. This is two little pockets. This one and this one are pre-made tags. This one I did, and I stamped on Priceless. Yes, I started running out of room, but my daughter said, don't redo it. It adds to the charm. So I added to the charm by squishing on Garrett on here. But this artwork here, this is a photocopy of my original, is some collage artwork he did. He was 3, and I went to their house recently, and I took a bunch of my crafting stuff, and he wanted to craft like Grandma. So I gave him a bunch of my scraps and a piece of paper, and he would pick out his paper, and I would put the glue on the back for him, and he would just stick it where he wanted to, and he made his picture. And so I thought she would enjoy that little artwork by Garrett, since he's her grandson too. And those just slip right on there, holding that shut. The last fabric ruffle has a pretty horseshoe on it. I thought she would enjoy this little magazine article about penny candy. You don't see penny candy anymore. I just made it into a flip out. Love this piece of music. Jingle, jangle, jingle. I got spurs. That's a fussy cut from the Black Beauty book. I got a lot of good use out of that Black Beauty book, and I still have tons more. And then some more. This actually is a pocket from my mother-in-law's, one of her shirts. We went up in our attic a while back, and I was looking for things I could use for junk journaling in my attic, and I found a box that had several of her shirts in it that I must have been saving to do maybe a quilt with or something, and never did. So I put it on here, and I added the lace and the vintage button that was also from her button collection, and it holds in it this little booklet I made. I already had this little booklet. The last of the papers were used in this journal, so it was empty, and I just put in some new papers, just sewed them in, made a tag in the back, journaling space, and this I believe was gifted to me in Happy Mail as well. Pretty little trim. The front I just put on a piece of paper napkin and another piece of my fabric, and it just tucks in there really nicely. It's like it was made for it. It wasn't, but it's like it was made for it. This is just a little tiny pre-made envelope flip out that I put a Tim Holtz flower on, and inside is a little tag that has an image of an ambulance being pulled by a horse. And I just collaged on the back little piece of music and some dictionary images and words, and it just tucks right in. And that, my dear friends, other than this last page, this is also Garrett artwork, so I just put Garrett 2021. He was really proud of his artwork. So that is my horse journal. I think I've got all my credits in there. I watched so many people in order to make this journal as good as I could. So I want to thank all the ladies. I know it was that I got a lot of these things from Miss Gail Augustinelli, Miss Pam at the Paper Outpost, Rachel at Roxy Creations, Angela Kerr, and of course Miss Nancy at Wishes and Weeds. I think I watched every one of her videos, and Miss Catherine at Sunnyside Journals, who is just such a soft, sweet, gentle voice in the wilderness of chaos sometimes that is my life. I also made just a quick little journal card out of some cardboard for her to use in this journal, and I just did Sears stuff on the front and back, and then I put this little piece of vintage lace and this ribbon. I added it, and I actually wrapped it over the front and back and then tied it at the bottom, and I put a little glue on it. So I'm going to give that to her as well, and I've got her a packet of just some papers, pieces of papers that I have used, so that she can back her photos, because we all know that the tea-dyed papers are not photo safe. So she can back her photos with the scrapbook paper and then put it in the journal if she wishes. So I hope you have enjoyed this video, this book. I have loved doing this book. It's going to hurt a little to send it off, but send it off I will, because this was not meant for me. So it's going to go to its new home. I hope to be enjoyed. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you care to comment, that'd be great too. And y'all have a good day, and may God bless you and keep you safe.